I cannot wait for May 19th. It's going to be so great. You know, just in case I lose, they gave me the number to call to concede. The area code is Tel Aviv, though.
Warning, this podcast is intended for mature audiences only. It contains adult language, themes, and humor. Everything said here is for comedic and satirical purposes only. It is not to be taken literally, and nothing in the show should be used as a basis for legal proceedings or real-world actions. Listener discretion is strongly advised. Welcome back to another episode of Slightly Offensive, the best, worst show on the internet with your host, me, Elijah Schaefer. You know, we're in a really weird saga for the America First movement, where the competitor to Thomas Massie in Kentucky's 4th District says he's America First. And they defined America First as, quote, being ready to vote in favor of every and any war that the neocon establishment wants to put forth. At the same time, we have a swath of Australians constantly causing problems for the America First movement, from Sidney Watson on. It's been going on for a long time, this infiltration. Let's not connect the fact that the largest CIA base outside of the United States or office is in Australia, very interestingly enough. And why are they all getting involved? Why are they here? What are they doing? And why are they always trying to tear things down? I don't know. I've been told, though, that the America First movement is dying, especially with Thomas Massie losing. But is it? I got an ad today on my X account, if you can bring this up here. The Washington Post, you can notice in the corner here, it says ad. Washington Post said, exclusive. This is new news, everybody. There's this new guy, new creator. Just finding out about him today. He spreads hate online, and fans pay him hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's the headline. That's it. That's the ad. That's it. That's literally our job, is to spread hate online. You're just mad he's getting paid for it. At least one of us is. That's good. Yeah. No, but the point is that there's a demoralization campaign going on that literally, like, you know when you like see like a movie and there's like someone going like just like awkward, and it's like me when like you realize that boomers bought $20 million of Jewish propaganda to put an Israeli sponsored government contractor that pushes their war machine into place. Boomers are like, yeah, this is what America needs. More Israeli Jewish power. And whether you disagree with Massie or you think that he, was counterproductive in accomplishing the MAGA agenda, you think Gal Rain, a guy named Gal Rain, you know what I mean? That sounds like a black drug dealer. Like, yo, I got to get a bag from Gal Rain, Lil Gal Rain. What is that name? But the name aside, $20 million buys you a seat now. Most expensive race in history, $35 million. And what's crazy is, how can you raise money if you have to raise $15 million from your constituents like Thomas Massie did, and you can't beat the Jewish money machine? What is American politics but not the intergalactic empire, where you can buy seats just by swaying things with the force, right? It's like we have the dark side of the force, just sort of swaying the map here. This should radicalize you. This should make you hate Anglo-Saxon. You should make you hate American patriot. You should begin to hate. And I know that they say that, we really shouldn't. We're Christians. Let the warrior spirit of the Christians turn the other cheek. Guess what? We turned the cheek. They slapped both of our faces. They had a stick out our asses, and they slapped our asses, and now they're trying to tap our asses. This ain't jail, buddy, but it feels like we're in a prison, and it's one dark dream, and now we're headed into Cuba, allegedly, or we're actually already there. We'll talk about that in a second. And maybe it's not exactly what you're going to think. It might be a little more like Venezuela than it will be like Iran, but we're also possibly going back into Iran. Who knows? Joining me today to talk about these stories and so much more is newly transitioned host, Georgiana, my producer, becoming the TRT is working, my friend. Welcome.
The TRT is working, huh? Hey, guys, it's Georgie at Sith Lord Groiper on Twitter. Real quick, we're looking for aspiring journalists or journalists that got kicked out of their old jobs for talking about the Jews. To write for rifftv.com. If you're interested in that, contact me on Twitter. That's my handle that just came up. We also need clippers and editors. So if you're interested in that, also hit me up. Should be a good show. I actually, I don't know about you, Elijah, but I support this move potentially to do a little regime change operation in Cuba. I think that is in our interest.
Yeah, let's put an Israeli-backed government in Cuba. That's exactly what we need, dude. Yes. Why are you here? That being said, really good idea.
You got a point, actually.
Yeah. Anyways, so Massie gave a concession speech, essentially after losing the race. And look, this is a boring ass news week. Like, everybody's down about 30 to 40% in viewers because we're tired. I know rough. We're bored. I know these stories are not that interesting. It's just like a giant black pill, and we're all in the boat. But, you know, things are going to go in the right direction for us, for them. Now is about self-improvement. And Massie seemed to be in very high spirits. Because it's like when you lose, but you lose to a formidable opponent, you don't feel bad, right? You didn't lose because you're just jerking off too much. You lose because how do you fight an international war machine where the Secretary of War comes in and campaigns against you to make sure that we can go have more wars? Boomers love wars, by the way. They hate infrastructure. They hate anything that can make your life better. Boomers hate anything that makes your future more secure. It is all about war and the GDP going up so that their home prices stay, locking you out of them. And then you can't afford them, and they love bringing in foreigners to then buy those homes that are wealthy already from their countries to lock you out of the American dream. Because fuck you, you little bitch, you little Gen Z cunt. Fuck you. Die, jerk off and die to your porn, eat your goy slop and die. Because boomers worked hard. And the most economic opportunity in any generation in the history of the world, and they enslaved you with it, and then they laugh at you and mock you and say, you just don't work hard enough. You just don't work hard enough, It's like, hey, a beefy 5-layer burrito is $5.69 now. The 89-cent beefy 5-layer burrito that was introduced like 15 years ago to literally help with consumer burden, it was meant to literally be a cheap option for you, is now $5.69, okay? $12 for 2 shitty burritos that give you cancer.
Yeah, Mr. Wonderful, I don't know if you heard, he said young people shouldn't be spending money on food. It's too expensive.
Yeah, I saw
he says we're irresponsible for buying food.
ALX said something funny about that. He goes, yeah, I'm going to take my $28 for lunch and invest it into a 401k, and in 20 years, I'll have 2 lunches. It's like, in 20 years, I'll be able to have 2 lunches if I just invest my lunch money. Literally, boomers are the bullies from the 90s movies that are like, give me your lunch money, kid. Except now they don't even want your lunch money. They just don't want you to eat lunch at all. Check this out.
For 14 years, those SOBs in Washington tried to buy my vote. They couldn't buy SOBs.
We did try. We literally tried. $2 super chats.
Why did the race get so expensive? Because they decided to buy the seat. And it got real expensive for them. Look, they used a lot of dirty tricks, but we stayed the course. We didn't bend a knee. We didn't throw a foul ball. We didn't do any of those things. We didn't kneecap anybody. We had lots of opportunities to try a lot of stuff like that, and we never did it. We ran a clean race. For 14 years.
It's actually sad.
Well, what's sad is what they're telling me is they're encouraging terrorism. What Israel is encouraging is terrorism in our country, because what they're saying is that if you want to just actually work as a republic, if you want to work within the system and you want to raise money from your constituency for your own representative, this is what's kind of what happened in the quote unquote Civil War. This is a federal overreach to the federal government is saying, if you want to, even though this is a federal congressional seat, but if you want to, as a state, as this, system that we're in, if your district wants to represent itself in the federal government, but the federal government disagrees with your district's representation in the seat, then we will replace your representative with one that agrees with us. This is no different than China. This is no different than what we say about Putin. It's like, if your
at
people,
all costs, too.
At all costs, it doesn't matter what we need to spend. The point is that we will replace your vote. You don't actually have a voice. So you have to agree with the federal government. It's not that the federal government is what the people want. The federal deep state, Trump, the swamp, like Trump, these guys legitimately are telling you, here's what we're going to do. Get in line or get the fuck out. And, you know, I'm going to say this. I understand sometimes people's frustrations with Massie. Okay, I understand they view it crazy. This is crazy. In a partisan political world where you need to whip votes, it's crazy that somebody in the representative department of our government, a representative, would still be trying to represent what's best for his people, whether it agrees with Democrats, independents, libertarians, doing what's best for his people, not the party. And I can see how that pisses off the party. I get it. It would piss off the Communist Party too if you didn't vote in line with the Communist Party, which in some ways, by the way, to my own criticism, the party and the Communist Party working together has really pushed China in a positive direction in an economic value way, or in terms of a developmental way that we are unable to achieve. However, we don't have a one-party system. We have a two-party system, and it is meant to keep our society down. It is meant to keep us from achieving. And so I might be okay with this. If we were a one-party state and we needed to keep everyone in line with the one-party system, I may be okay with the tactics used here to keep, you know, the people out of power. But that's only if the party was looking out for, you know, a one China policy for the Han dynasty, for who we are as a people. But they're not looking out for us. They're looking out for them. The guys, those guys, the goblins from Harry Potter. And we have some stories coming out about the flotilla and how do you say this? Ben Gvir?
Ben Gvir.
Ben Gvir. Okay, I never know how to say his name. The Israelis are the shittiest fucking people, I think, in the entire Western Hemisphere. And people ask why we care so much. I care so much because why the fuck is Israel in Eurovision? Why is Israel in Eurovision? And there's like 5 countries in Europe that boycott Eurovision, the music festival, and somehow Israel wins number 2. You know, they almost win
with a really shitty song.
Oh yeah, and it's like in Hebrew, and it's like, why is Israel in Eurovision? Like, I know that we have debates about Greece, you know, debates on Greece or like Latvia or Estonia, Bulgaria, whether those are European. They're European. They're just Eastern European or Mediterranean. Israel's not even near us. Why are they in Eurovision? Well, it's because they control us. It's like it's the equivalent. Israel being in Eurovision is like if the EU had its own designated singer, and you'd be like, that's not weird. Like the EU designates its own like honorary, that representing the whole EU, and they win second. They get a lot of votes because, well, they, Europeans that want peace or unity kind of vote for them. Why is Israel in Eurovision? That's a good question. That's a very good question. Why is Iran not getting visas to come to here, Arlington, Dallas, Texas, for the World Cup because of mass atrocities against innocent civilians, but Israel can just come after they massively massacred hundreds of thousands of innocent people. Okay, innocent people. Some people say more. I don't know what the truth is, but I know it was a lot. It's like, if you don't know what's going on, then fuck you. That's why people don't want to watch political commentary right now. That's why people don't care. We're going to change up some stuff. We're actually working in a very positive direction here. That's all I'll say. I'm not allowed to say more. A positive direction, because some people who see what's going on realize that shows like this, networks like this, don't even exist for the now. They exist for the future. Like Rift, unironically, we used to joke about it. Rift is the future. So some kid at CPAC told me, he's like, Rift is the future. He was like this nerd kid. And
he's right.
But he's actually correct.
Yeah.
I actually made fun of him, even though it's my company, but I made fun of him, but I was like, no, it's actually true because Rift exists for an audience that doesn't exist yet. It's when it's basically for when millennials, young millennials and Gen Z get old enough that they realize you need institutionalized networks and people with professionality to skirt censorship laws. which are coming, censorship laws to have legitimacy and proper filing and shell companies and things like that to exist to avoid censorship and to be a place to where we can all congregate, unify, and share our minds. And we'll always adapt our dialogue, our monologue, and what we say to skirt censorship regulations. That's what I've done that my entire life. And as I mentioned on the last show, before we go on, things have happened to try to silence my voice in the last year that even shock me, of which I cannot speak of. Now, one of the reasons why Massie is being silenced. Now, I don't like Indians, so I don't like them, but we won't get into that. People know that. I don't like them. They're allowed to exist in India. I'm not telling you to kill Indians. They kill themselves in ways I never thought were possible that humans could do at such a mass level. But Ro Khanna is one of the Democrats who agreed with Massie on the Epstein files. And that's what they were really mad about Massie about, was the Epstein files. They were mad at him because, look, I have a lot of insiders. And I know this could sound like bullshit to some people, but from my understanding, Trump may actually be a pedophile, Epstein was like an amphibophile, right? Which is just called men for all of history. Okay. They call it historical man. The men who made America and the men who made the world. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, look, they had slaves. They were taking 16-year-old wives. Like, that's just what life was. Okay. Before you talk shit, Mary, I think, was 14 in the Bible, the Virgin Mary. And she was already married, betrothed to be married. And that wasn't weird. And it was never weird for men to, be with these types of women in all of history. Until now, until feminism, when they wanted you to think you're a pervert for being attracted to women, even though the majority of this country, the age of consent is 16, but somehow, now I think we're up to 21. If you're the 21-year-old, you're a pedophile now.
According to 30-year-old women.
According to 30-year-old women, 21 years old is now pedophilia. Anything under 25 is pedophilia. But anyways, I'm not defending or attacking anything. I go by the state I live in. Here it's 17 in Texas. So I say go by the state or the country you live in on that regard. But I hear that Trump, I would get in trouble for this. So I've just heard that people have said Trump was at an age where like even people that are like making those arguments that like, 16, 17, they're like, hey, that's too young. That's too young. And I think a lot of Democrats also know this too, because they also have insiders.
What other reason would they have to keep the Epstein files hidden?
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's no other reason. Because if it was like a 16-year-old, well, Trump could just say, well, the majority of America is 16. And I don't even know what the age of consent was there, but it's probably 16, honestly. It's like, I didn't break the laws there. So what? However, if it's like a 12-year-old, particularly a prepubescent woman, whether she was 14, 15, 12, it doesn't, like, if she's prepubescent and you're having sexual intercourse with like a prepubescent girl, even in the medieval times, you couldn't be betrothed until first blood. So it's like, that wouldn't be good. Yeah. That wouldn't be good. It wouldn't be good. It wouldn't be good. So it's not going to be a good thing for him, in this regard. Ro Khanna talks about this. Listen.
I think they ousted Mr. Massie.
Why is it in one ear
on
always?
the Epstein files.
They ousted him because he was leading on the Epstein files.
The guy recorded this in mono.
He was leading the push against the war in Iran, and because he was leading the push saying we can't give another dollar to Israel while it's violating human rights.
I think you need another Republican partner to push forward if this goes to next Congress.
Well, Thomas is still here for 7 months. I wouldn't underestimate him. Look, we're going to do a lot of things in these next 7 months to hold the Epstein class accountable, to stop these foreign wars. But there were voters under 45 who voted for Thomas at over 30%. Let me tell you something. These young voters, they're done with the old guard. They're done with lectures about how AI is going to be good. They're done with people who want to just give money to foreign wars. And we welcome them in a new populist Democratic Party, a Democratic Party that's going to say, we're done with the establishment. We're a party that's against the Epstein class. We're a party that's for taxing billionaires. We're a party that is against foreign wars. We're a party that doesn't want more aid going to Israel, that wants jobs programs here. This is going to be the movement that helps.
So he said something really important, Georgie, and I'm going to look for a video. Maybe you can look it up for me. I think one of the previous Microsoft, look up college speech booing. One of the founders of one of the big tech companies just did a college speech, and he was booed relentlessly. Let me see if I can look it up. Like I would have to be on Google, like pro AI college speech booed. Give me a second here. Yeah, I think here it is. Let me see if I can bring this up.
I found it on YouTube.
Yeah, what is it? Can you send it to me real fast?
Yeah, I'll send it on DMs.
So, look, you're an older Gen Z, and I'm a younger millennial. And one thing that I know about generations is the older people in the generation end up relating more with the younger people of the other generation than they do with the older in their own regard. And the reason why is like, this guy is actually talking some good shit. Okay, I don't even like Indians. I'm not a Democrat. He's like, we're kind of forming a new party against foreign wars, against the AI takeover. You know, like what happens is like, hey, what's going on here is very serious. What's affecting my life is the chance that I can't get a job because of the AI takeover. Immigration, like immigrants won't even be able to get jobs because of the AI takeover, right? So it actually affects both parties. It affects everybody. This is the AI is the reason why we're upset about the AI thing. Or young Gen Z are very nervous about the AI issue and older Gen Alpha because it's essentially NAFTA for our generation or their generation, where it's like, well, what do you mean that there's no manufacturing jobs? Like I have like a 90 IQ and I'm like a guy, or like even now, imagine this. Imagine you're getting like divorced and like, you know, they mess up, they try to mess up your life. And you're like, you know what? I'm just going to go get a manufacturing job for a couple years for like 95,000. Oh, wait, that doesn't exist anymore? I'm adjusting for inflation, by the way. You mean I can't just go in with like, as a grown man that's like kind of like skilled and be like, hey, I'm going to go for a year internship and then, make 95,000. Oh, it doesn't exist. It's all in China now. Oh, there's no manufacturing here. That's interesting. And manufacturing is automated. That even is here. There's no highly skilled, manufacturing. You can't get a job unless you have a college degree. Oh, college degrees are going towards women and minorities. Oh, there's no jobs for me. That's interesting. I guess I'll become a DoorDash driver. Double dash, kick motherfucker. Get that shit out of here. Here's $100. No, but it's scary because the NAFTA, my generation, the young Gen X to the older Gen X, realized that NAFTA fucked everyone. Okay, there's no more single family households. There's no more men that are, and I don't say not bright, but men who are just simpler men able to support a family anymore. And the AI thing is the same thing. It's like, wait, there's no corporate jobs because it's all female and minority. And then any job that's not corporate, even if it is corporate or skilled, maybe that women can't do, like coding. It's like, I'm not gonna be able to do that anymore because it's all AI. This is absolutely alarming.
Yeah, I think, it reminds me of Bill Gates. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but Bill Gates, he has this opinion that the world population needs to go down drastically. On some level, I kind of agree with that, but the way that they're going to do that, I think... Not
here, though.
I think here as well. And I don't think they actually want all the Indians here. What they actually want is people in the manufacturing facilities, doing those shitty jobs for slave wages, basically. But I don't think that's optimal for them. They would rather have robots that can work 24/7, do this stuff. And if the robots have all the, lower tier working class jobs, the blue collar jobs, well, a lot of people are going to die because they're not going to have money. And there's there's this dream that Elon has of a universal basic income. I don't think that's ever happening. Why would the elites want to give everybody that's not working money so they can repopulate for their children to then get free money forever, perpetually? It doesn't make any sense.
It's not a lot of money. It's not a lot of money.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense for them to do. I think what they actually want is to slowly decrease the population by starving us out over time. It's kind of what the elites have always wanted in history,
Well, it's pod energy. Basically, you become a Bitcoin mining computer. And what it is, there's a lot of like Black Mirror stuff about this, but so the AI data centers are producing the work and they're making the stuff that we need to buy, but they need people to buy it. So they have to create, art. It's kind of like taking us off the gold standard. They have to create artificial income. So then they give us a certain amount of credits. It's not really money. It's not income. They give us a certain amount of credits, but like there's so many movies and stuff about this, but we have to use the credits at their store, right? It's like indentured servitude. It's like, right. And as we spend at their store, they can create more products that can create more credits. It's like changing the monetary system from actual value of money earned. It's the next step after there's no value to the currency. So it's after fiat
that's
collapses.
How the old mining towns used to operate.
Yeah, it's like you get credits and use the credit at the company store and the company that has the products. And there's a few people who don't work for the company and those people are able to actually live a real life and you're a slave and you essentially have to, the goal is now not to become rich, it's to buy yourself out of the credit system. Yep. You want to be able to also own your own mining center that you can use to then indebt other people. And this is like been, spoken about basically that there's that one Steven Spielberg, was it a Spielberg movie where they play the video game and they have the
Ready Player One.
Yeah, Ready Player One. It's the same thing. It's like you want to buy yourself out of the video game. It's like kind of your goal is to own your own video game center where you indenture people to the video game. People talk about this. They know this is happening. This is what's coming. This is where it's going. But people are mad about AI. They're pissed about AI. Listen to this.
Graduation season and commencement speech time, but one phrase proving wildly unpopular.
The rise of artificial intelligence is the next industrial revolution.
From a tech business executive to a music industry titan, AI clearly striking a sore spot.
AI is rewriting production as we sit here. Deal with it. Like I said, it's a tool.
Look how happy
At the
he is.
University of
This one.
Arizona, former Google CEO Eric Schmidt faced loud jeers on the topic.
The question is whether you will help shape artificial intelligence. We do not know.
The speaker choice was
Every time,
controversial
dude.
from the get-go. Some students launching a petition to replace Schmidt in part because he's been accused of rape and sexual assault by a former girlfriend in a lawsuit currently under arbitration. NBC News has reached out to Schmidt for comment but have not heard back, but he has denied the allegations in the past.
AI is going to touch everything else as well. Whatever path you choose, AI will become part of how.
When it comes to artificial intelligence.
All right. That's every single speaker who speaks about AI.
Yeah, someone in
gets
chat,
booed.
Telepathic Dragon in Rumble chat said, shape the future that will replace you. So true.
Well, yeah, it's really something else. And I think that Ro Khan and these people are realizing the populist movement is actually heading in towards rejecting AI, rejecting the data centers, because we've seen what happens when they try to replace us. We've seen what happens when they try to turn us into robots. And now we kind of are, How do they make all their money now? It's just selling our data. It's social media is just like data. Meta made what, $26.1 billion in profit, I think, in the last quarter or something, just selling data of boomers to other boomer sites. And it's like, who are they selling it to? Well, they're selling it to Israel or something to run the Galrain site. What is everyone in Kentucky 4th District talking about? That's expensive data.
It's all going to Palantir as well.
Yeah, it's going to Palantir, going to all these companies. Now, it's kind of strange because that's what Kana is saying something very interesting here, is there may be a new populist party forming. And I bring this back to when the Tea Party and Occupy Wall Street were starting back in 2011. And, or maybe before that, actually, I might be off on my years. But then they introduced culture wars. So that's why why does all the woke shit start? If you're young and you watch the show, the woke stuff, wokeness, was an invention by Jewish people, by the Jewish elites and their followers, the Jewish bankers, these people. It was invented to create a warfare between the left and the right. So that's why the left took a woke side and the Republicans took an anti-woke side, because it was about fighting each other rather than uniting as a populist movement. It's very dangerous when in a country that they've rightfully divided as left versus right, when the left starts creating a populist movement, the right starts creating a populist movement, because then you start arguing about socialism versus national socialism, right? Which is, they're not the same thing. Like, dude, Elon Musk is such a stupid retard when he says stuff like, National socialism has socialism in it, therefore it is socialism, therefore it is left. It's like, no, National Socialism is a right-wing idea. Socialism is a left-wing idea. The National Socialists were trying to stop socialism, actually, and communism. They were trying to stop it. How is it the same thing if they're trying to stop it, right? You have populist movements, and honestly, communism is a populist movement, and National Socialism is a populist movement, and that's dangerous. It can create a civil war to decide which populist movement presides, but populists become terrorists. That's why I said they're inviting terrorism into our country. They're creating a real populist drive in the left and the right, and we start agreeing. When you have a civil war, it's when you agree that there's a problem and you have to solve it or you're all going to die, but your solutions are different. That's what a civil war is. So it's like the problem is AI. The problem is Israel. The problem is lobbying. The problem is corporatism. The problem is the housing market and the Federal Reserve. How do we fix that? Well, the left and the right don't actually agree on how to fix it, but we agree on the same problems. The issue with culture wars is whether something is a problem, right? The difference between a culture war and a class war is class warfare is we agree on the problem, we differ on the solution. A culture war is whether we agree something is a problem. That's all it is. And so we spend our time on the culture wars debating whether transgender is a problem, whether it's a good or a bad thing. A class warfare is transgenderism is a problem. How do we solve that problem? And that's what they're trying to prevent us from doing. It's control mechanisms, and it works. What they're doing works. So, it is kind of crazy. It is kind of insane. And it is one of the weirdest things that we're dealing with right now. Now, that being said, speaking of class warfare, just want to give a shout out real quick to one of our sponsors from our show today. I think it's fantastic. SagaMetals.com. They're amazing and they've been around. You can check the link. It'll be on the lower third as well as in the description. You can find their presentation. Check it out. Here's a word from them today. Now, you guys have heard me talk a lot about investing in gold and silver over the years, but there's a precious metal out there that you might not know is valuable, and it's called titanium. The problem is that China controls about 60% of titanium production, and I don't know if you've seen recently, they're not exactly our strongest ally. The problem is that we need titanium so much so that Trump put out a directive, an executive order saying that we need to mine and find more titanium in North America at our nation's peril. The reason why is titanium is used to build our warships. It's used to build F-35 jets. And I don't know if you've seen Secretary Marco Rubio recently, but they want to use a lot of jets and a lot of ships to fight wars maybe we shouldn't be in, but either way, this metal is extremely valuable. That's where Saga Metals trading comes in, trading in the US under SAGMF and trading in Canada as SAGA. Now, they have their best drilling yet reported. Recently, they drilled in an area in Canada in this project called Radar Titanium in Canada, where they found half a football field full of the highest quality titanium. Now, rarely is titanium like this even found at this quality anywhere in the world, but they have a drilling spot where they're finding the highest quality. Now, the best part is they closed $10 million in financing allocated purely for drilling. Investors are lining up to get involved. Now, Saga isn't waiting around. Their crews are drilling 24/7 because the results are amazing, and the stock surged over 17% in just one day. This is a strategic commodity that you guys should all check up. It's a tier 1 jurisdiction, exceptional drill results, and it is an investment strategy in a company that's not just the metals themselves, but the company that's producing and drilling and finding the metal that our president said we need to obtain. And America likes to buy for war right now. So, hey, maybe you don't support the war, but maybe we can support our future investments by supporting Saga Metals today. Check out the link in my description and support Saga Metals. Shout out to Saga Metals. And thank you so much for sponsoring this show. The link is in our description. It is saga-presentation.com/riff-tv. If you want to check out the presentation, figure out how you can invest today. Reminder, this is not financial advice, and I'm not telling you whether to buy or to sell or to trade any stock. Always trade at your own risk, but sometimes those risks just end up with surplus amounts of money in our account. I hope you enjoy the rest of the show. All right, so one thing that's kind of crazy is Alex Jones said that we should actually question the integrity of this election. Listen to this.
I'm looking at the numbers, and the numbers don't lie. You have statistical anomalies here where it is one chance out of 200 in one of the breakdowns that there would be a 357% increase in voter turnout compared to any other race in that state's history for a Republican primary. Think about that. And then you've got a bunch of mail-in ballots that magically came in and put him up 8 points at the end. When the Pentagon comes in and campaigns against you, that's never been done before. They're all about winning the war before it even starts. Okay? And when I saw Hegseth say he's gone tomorrow, and I saw the confidence, I know confidence when I see it, he was gone. And I said, and I was feeling good last week when Massie was 20 points ahead and 25 points ahead in a lot of polls and in the poly market and the rest of it. And I said, I think he's going to win. But after I said it, I said, my gut said, you're wrong. So I thought about it. I thought about it. I don't know if they ever had time to find the clip. It was an hour and 50-minute interview with Nick Fuentes. But in the middle of the interview yesterday, I said, Nick, what's your prediction? He said, well, I don't know yet. I said, well, I got a bad feeling. I think he's going to lose tonight. But I said, because of fraud. And again, that's not an endorsement of everything Massie's done or his voting record. It's not as bad as they say. It's not as good as he says. I believe it's principled votes he's done. But most of what you hear about him is just made up crap. The issue is having a foreign power come in and brag that they were manipulating our election. Then they have their surrogates, we'll get this in a moment, saying, no, it's anti-Semitic. Israel didn't get involved in this. Netanyahu announced an 8-front war for congressional seats and for censorship here in the U.S. Do I need to play all the clips of him saying it? Or the $500 million they spent last year on propaganda in the U.S. to get us to be pro-war? Or the $760-something million last week that the Knesset funded publicly to spend in the United States? What are you talking about? Don't insult my intelligence, Ben Shapiro. I don't care if it's the UK, the Russians, the Chinese, the Mexicans, the Easter Bunny. What the hell's going on here? You think the Israelis put up with that type of crap?
Yeah. So, no, they don't, actually. The Israelis don't like their neighbors. They just kill them. They just kill them.
I bet there's no election interference in Israel.
There's no elections in Ukraine either. There's no elections at all. So
yeah, that's interesting. Like, why was there such a big turnout for this? Like, no one even has heard of, what's his name? Ed
Galrain.
Galrain. I've never heard of him before in my life. I don't think anyone that actually voted for him had ever heard about him. And the fact that it had the biggest turnout in history. Thomas Massie, I think he's been in his seat for a consecutive 14 years, I believe. And he was wildly popular in his district. And then for the turnout in this election to be so high for the opponent, it just seems fishy to me. I think Alex Jones is onto something here.
Well, I know a lot of donors in the Republican Party, and I was speaking to one recently about this very thing, and he was telling me that basically these donors become Republican or Democrat, whatever they need to do just to stay in power. So a lot of these people donated to Kamala Harris, and they come over, and then now they're MAGA donors. They're really pro-Israel donors, essentially, is what I was told. And, you know, somebody I actually share very little, you know, in political conjunction with, Bernie Sanders, who is Jewish himself, by the way, proving this is not about anti-Semitism. It's about anti-state of Israel control of our country. He said, you know, this is kind of like not a good thing. Listen.
Here is the political reality of today, a reality that we just saw yesterday in the election in Kentucky, when Congressman Thomas Massie, somebody who I have very little in common with politically, was defeated by $9 million in contributions from AIPAC and $7 million from Trump mega donors. And what was the great crime that Massie committed that gendered so much super PAC money in opposition to him? Well, he opposed the war in Iran, and so do the vast majority of the American people. He demanded that the Epstein files be opened, which is what the American people have wanted, and he refused, what a crime, what an outrage, to be a rubber stamp for Donald Trump. Here is the political...
So, yeah, you got AIPAC and these mega donors.
Which is also just AIPAC.
Yeah, it's probably like they maxed out their political contributions in the case and in the race, and then they end up having someone else on. Look, I understand people who don't like Massie, and I think if someone that was running against him was, I don't know, fought for themselves or just was morally running against him, we could have been in a good position. But what this proves is that money can buy seats, and we knew that. It's not really some sort of a new...
No, you could look at the AIPAC website. It says, I think it's 93% of all their endorsed candidates win their elections.
Yeah.
So
they beat Brandon Herrera last time, too, with $1 million. They put $1 million into a small congressional race here to put a black guy in that was pro-Israel, because Brandon just wouldn't say that he would support Israel's wars. I believe he's a veteran, I believe. And if you've been a veteran, you probably realize that most of these wars are bullshit. I don't meet any veterans that don't believe that. I mean, like new veterans from like recent, like, yeah, this is bullshit. It's all Israel.
Yeah.
Everybody you meet just kind of knows it's just Israel bullshit, or they don't give a fuck, or they just went in
Even the
there for
guys
like
on the
education.
ships, they're fucking up the pipe, so all the shitters on the boats are fucked up, and the boat had to turn around. I don't know if you remember that.
I do remember that.
Yeah, so even the people on the ships going to war are against it.
Well, Ben Shapiro says the opposite. We're not going to play the whole video here.
Yeah.
Ben Shapiro says, despite there being, this is a very Jewish thing to say, despite AIPAC admitting this, and this being all FEC financials that we can track and we know are real, Ben Shapiro says out of Boca Raton, he doesn't like people to know studios in Boca Raton, but it is in Boca Raton. He doesn't like people to know that, though.
Yeah.
But it is. It was right by Rift Studios. We were right down the street from each other, actually. By the Costco in Boca Raton.
Look at that.
You know? Well, that's also where the Costco guys are from. We're Costco guys. There's still no churro here, and we're Jewish. That was their downfalls when everyone found out they were Jewish.
Yeah.
That literally happened.
Right.
We're Costco guys. We like double chunk chocolate cookies and killing kids. You're like, okay, not gonna support your bitch ass. Get the fuck out of here. Stop making your kids fat. Stop. Anyways.
Yeah, well, Ben Shapiro, there's something important in this clip that he says, and he says...
Really?
He says
important.
Yeah, because he says that what happened in Kentucky is the future of the GOP. He says very particularly, it's the future of the GOP. This is the direction the GOP is going. And I think, how do the demographics support that at all? If you look at the voters for Thomas Massie, I think everyone under 40 years old, roughly, it was like a blowout if it was only them voting. But it was the boomers and Gen Xers that pulled it through for Ed, whatever his name is.
Gal Rain.
So I don't really know where he's getting this from. I think Daily Wire also just had to fire their CEO. So if this is the future of the GOP, I mean, good luck, Daily Wire, I guess.
Listen,
Massie himself is out there saying that Israel is trying to buy his seat in Congress. Again, my dude, like this tactic is one of the dumbest tactics. I just have to say, it's such an it's a tactic made for stupid people. Okay, the reality is that people who are pro-Israel do not like Thomas Massie because Thomas Massie has engaged in every conspiracy theory it is possible to engage in and has made common cause with the most anti-Israel people. That's true. But
why is his hat getting bigger?
His bald spot's growing. That's why they have that.
Really?
I think so. That's my guess.
Can't afford surgery? Anyways.
They didn't have
the reason that Thomas Massie is actually in trouble is because the Trump administration has decided to oppose him on the basis of completely other issues. And so the usual game that is now played right now on the...
Actually, thinking of Seinfeld, Jews do a lot of crown balding, and they probably made the hat just to cover their balding.
That's my guess, yeah.
That's crazy. Anyways.
Right. In the very podcast-istan, right. The game that is played is there will be a critique that has nothing to do with Israel, and the first thing you do is you claim that it's about Israel in an attempt to gin up the crazier part of the Republican base.
Here is AIPAC saying Ed Gallering's victory in Kentucky and Clay Fuller's win in Georgia ensures two outspoken pro-Israel voices are positioned to fill seats previously held by outspoken detractors Thomas Massie and Marcella Green. Our community was proud to help pro-Israel candidates win their races. Yeah, there's MTG. It's not anti-Semitic conspiracy theory when a foreign lobby openly brags that they bought 2 congressional seats with candidates who will be loyal to Israel. But Ben Shapiro says Israel had nothing to do with the elections. So there it is yet again. But you just heard Shapiro say that's not the case.
So
yeah, someone in chat said, no, the tiny hat is to prevent God from reading their thoughts.
Dude, I'm not going to lie about this. A lot of the original people who worked on this show were very Jewish. And some of them are still my good friends today.
Including me.
Yeah, well, but some of them are my good friends today.
That's a joke.
One Jewish, my first producer ever, his name was Todd Siegel. And I really love that guy. I honestly mean this like in the low, when they say low IQ anti-Semitism, it means like, dude, I'm from LA, okay? I absolutely believe someone like Ted Cruz, who is a WASP, right? He's like a WASP. I know that he's not because he's Cruz, right? But he's like WASPy, or he's LARPing as one. But like these WASPy guys are a much greater threat to our national security than Todd Siegel in LA. Like Todd Siegel's a cool guy. We just drank together, hung out. He's not like, has no political power. He's not a, not for the war in Gaza. He thinks Zionism means that Jews deserve not to be slaughtered. And it's like, sure, whatever. And he's a cool guy. Mm-hmm. And if you're just like a low IQ anti-Semite, what we mean by that is like, Todd is a very good friend of mine. And just because he's ethnically Jewish, Mark Lobleiner's, the bodybuilder, is another one. Like, our friendship is that he works in the media industry, Warner Brothers, whatever, and like he makes movies. And it's like, these guys are not who you're fighting. I'm just being honest. You're not fighting these guys. You're not. Mark Lobleiner, Jewish. He's a bodybuilder, not concerned about this war. He's just building his body and, shooting up TRT. Hell yeah, let's go. These are not our enemy, right? That like, and you could, yes, someone's gonna make the argument like they're all our enemy, whatever. It's like, no, right now we have like a bigger fish to fry. Like we have a Jewish Israeli, like Zionist Federation. It's like world Jewry, right? Mm-hmm. It's like world Jewry. Just because Ted Cruz is like it's like saying like, oh well, all these Protestants are Zionists, so then Orthodox and Catholics are the problem. It's like, well, no, not really right now. It's not really our problem. Now, if you hate Christianity in general, then yeah, you could think that. But it's like right now, maybe what our problem is like Protestant Zionism is a huge fucking problem. And I'd much be more concerned with fixing Protestant Zionism than going after Mark Lobleiner because he wears a Star of David while he lifts weights. Like it's just non sequitur. It's like you don't get it. Like you don't get what's going on. And you're ruining our movement by being like, oh, well, he's got a Star of David on, so fuck him. And it's like, Ted Cruz is a bigger problem despite being Christian than like Mark Lobleiner. Like not even a bigger problem. It's like, these guys don't pose any threat to what we're doing actually at this moment. They don't support the war. They're not involved in it. They're just where they are.
Says Mark converted to Christianity.
No, I know he did. I was going to say that. I was going to say, well, that's good you read that. It's like, yeah, Mark ended up converting because he's just ethnically Jewish. And these guys are not, they're based. They're not like the Babylon Bee people. And so, it's like, just because Mark is ethnically Jewish, but he converts towards Christianity, well, Ted Cruz is ethnically Cuban or something like that. What is he, Cuban?
Oh, I don't know.
Mexican? Whatever, half white, something like that. And he's Protestant, but he's religiously Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, he's religiously Jewish. So Trump is, an Aryan, for all my whole thoughts, he's an Aryan king, but he's a Jew. So it's like, you can be ethnically Jewish, these guys sometimes are, and they're spiritually or religiously Christian. It's like, in the end, Ted Cruz, Tom Cotton, Ed Galrain, these are Jews. These are Jewish people. And they look like you, they talk like you, but they are for the Jewish religion. They're for the Jewish state. Mike Huckabee, and everyone always says, but they're nice people. Mike Huckabee's probably very nice, but he supports the slaughtering of innocent people, even including Christian holy sites. Mm-hmm. And it's like, look, I don't support you. And when we say low IQ anti-Semitism, we're saying you don't understand the issue complexly enough that you're just creating t-shirts with like Dan Bilzerian like choking out a Jew. And you're like, that's not what we're really doing right now. We're in like fifth degree warfare where you don't understand that Thomas Massie may not be voting Republican, but you think the fight is Republican versus Democrat. You think we're just like going to go, start slaughtering everyone with that's once been baptized. I don't even know what they do in like sulfur or something like that in the synagogues. But it's like, dunked in a sulfur pit and had your wiener sucked by a rabbi. Like that's just not the case. Even today, like Christians, we're all circumcised. So it's like, you can't even use that as a, like the Philistines or non-Philistine. Like there's no determinant. It's like, you have to kind of like be smart and be like, who's upkeeping this regime? Mm-hmm. Like, because right now the Zionists post World War II took over every country in the West, almost, and they're trying to take Poland. And I do believe they just took Hungary as well. I do believe so.
Yeah.
I do believe so.
Rip Hungary.
But yeah, the question is, and they don't have El Salvador. I can tell you that they don't have El Salvador. By the way, to prove my point, why you don't want Zionism. El Salvador kicked out the Zionists and the Zionist media and the Jewish-controlled judges, and they are creating paradise. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It's crazy. You get a couple Palestinians taking over a country. A couple Palestinians. And by the way, Bukele's dad built the first mega mosque in El Salvador. So, There are debates whether he's really Christian or Muslim. I'm not going to comment on that because I don't want to get involved in that because I like being welcomed in the country. But I can tell you this, it is deeply, deeply not, it's deeply seen as Zionism, which is a bunch of Zionist groups trying to, what? Undermine Bukele's regime. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
The Zionists are trying to undermine Bukele. Bukele is fixing the country, and the Zionists are doing what? Undermining what he's trying to do. Painting him as a fascist, a dictator. It's like he's fixing the country.
It's the same thing they did to South Africa
Right.
and apartheid.
Yeah, it's like, why are the Jews trying to disrupt every country that fights for its own people? Why are Jews there? Because they're a diaspora. That's not their country, and they work best when the countries are not homogenized. It's how it works, man. Because they can profit off the drug deals, off the cartels, off the gangs. They don't care about your safety and your life and whatever. They care about destruction. They care about disharmony. And it's very difficult to look at this Massie race and realize what this is just Jewish political meddling. And it's world Jewry, not, and that's why I said, like, you have to distinctualize between world Jewry and someone who just happens to be ethnically Jewish. I'm telling you, it's like, it is low IQ anti-Semitism when like you just like walk in LA and there's just some Jewish family like, fuck you. It's like, well, they support the apartheid state. It's like, they probably do, but they're retarded and they have nothing to do with it. And like, you know, throwing rocks at this family is not going to solve the issue. And so if you want to go around and call black people the N-word, same thing. Or like just throw rocks at Jews, go ahead, free country. If you break the law, you go to jail, but you're not helping. You're not doing anything for our movement. But if you want to realize that, like, you know, which is hard to say as someone who's converting to Orthodox, that Zionist Christianity is actually more of a threat towards our country than a random Jew walking around in LA. It's a hard thing to say, but it's very fucking true. So it's very true.
Yeah.
Because that's a power structure. That's a voting bloc that's power. And the Jews don't rely on the Jewish vote to stay in power. They're not in power by elections because Jews are voting for people. They're in power because boomer Zionists, Christians, are voting for them. That's why they're in power. And yeah, do they support the shit? Is it disrespectful and disgusting? And I probably don't want to be their friend, or probably don't want to get into business with them because they're going to cheat you. You know, yeah, like I'm not saying like, you know, I'm not going to associate with these people. You know, what Tyler Rivera is doing, showing the welfare state, true, but you know what? Blacks are doing that as well. It's like, yeah, the Jews are doing it in New Jersey and in New York, you know, but the blacks are doing it. The fucking Indians are doing it with the SBA loans. Everyone's doing it, dude.
Yeah, it's like the top 10% of Jews are causing all the problems, while the bottom, like 90%, most of them are on welfare.
Yeah.
And they get jobs in like Jewish firms or Jewish companies, and they just kind of work lower level jobs. But, you know, there is something I would say to this, Elijah. There is something about, you know, Jewishness, and I think it applies to the vast majority of them. And most of them aren't willing to like disassociate from their people in such a big way. And so they do, on some level, almost all of them support the state of Israel, support what's going on in Palestine, at least on some level. And they're never going to oppose it at the very least. So even if they slightly disagree, they're never going to get involved, and they're never going to actually say anything meaningful against the Israeli regime. There's only like key figures in the Orthodox Jewish community that, I don't know, you've probably seen them burn Israeli flags in the streets and stuff like that, but it doesn't really have a large effect in the Jewish community as a whole. So, yeah.
Well, I'll say this. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your cars today.
That
Please.
was great. I heard that jingle my whole life, and yeah.
Fellow Californiite.
Right.
Also, random note I was going to say, marionette lines here on your face and your forehead and lines on your neck if you're aging. Hyaluronic acid. It takes it away.
Thanks.
That's the stuff you should be focused on. How do you keep your by the way, it's not even a vanity thing. Your skin is an organ, and you want to keep your skin hydrated and stuff. It's like very common stuff. And we have problems with our skin. If you want to get rid of lines on your face, you don't need Botox. You need hyaluronic acid. It's like $20 a month, and you can buy it online, and it's very cheap on Amazon. I always give random like tips to people. If you want to keep like these lines from getting like really dark, if you wake up with lines here and like really serious bags under your eyes, or like in your forehead, you're like me, like you have like really serious indentations, you can literally fix it every day, including like serious lines on your neck. If you're single and you're trying to get a bitch, you're gonna want a young one. You don't want to look too old. The key thing about it is looking old enough that they think you have money, but not old enough that they're not sexually attracted to you unless you have a lot of money, right? Like you don't want to be like 55 so that you either find a girl with a kink from a really poor family and then she's already been raped by her dad, or you basically, you want to be able to go to a bar or like a restaurant, like hit on like a 21-year-old girl and be like 36 and like, you know, don't want to be able to tell them you're 30 while they lie to you about their name and their body count. You can lie about your name and your age because they do that too. Their body count is a mystery, but
yeah, it's an ancient Chinese proverb.
Yeah, but hyaluronic acid, check it out. It's very cheap and it'll fix all the lines in your face. Even if you're an alcoholic or you don't drink a lot of water or you live out in a sunny place like Australia, you can fix yourself today. Now, here's the problem with Massie now. Massie he's a bachelor. I only brought that up because Massie's a bachelor. He has no bitch holding him down. He's not like, he has no girl being like, Massie, please, don't run again. Massie's wife, they killed Massie's wife. Okay, we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
They killed his wife and he knows that. But he's a man, he doesn't bitch about it, but they killed his wife. Now, that being said, Massie hints that he might run for president. Listen.
What happens in 2028? You want me to run for Congress again? I don't know what you're talking about.
It's an NJF hat back there.
Yep.
All right, well, you made a compelling argument. You spoke your piece, but I need a medical margarita right now. And we'll talk about it later. Thank you and God bless.
A medical margarita?
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about this. Look, I think Thomas Massie, I think he will run for president, but I think it's going to look a lot like RFK Jr.'s campaign. And I think he's not going to be the Republican primary candidate. He's going to lose that the same way that RFK lost it. And he might run as an independent. That never really goes well. So I don't think we should get our hopes up.
I have a different take on this.
I hope he wins. I hope that it's a popular enough, sort of political revolution that he wins. But
nope, I have a different take.
Okay, what is it?
I have a better take.
Okay, let's hear it.
That's true. Where we're headed here in the next election, and actually in 2032 as well, is someone like Massie runs a PSYOP campaign at a larger level than James Fishback is currently doing. And it is not about winning. It is about winning hearts and minds towards a movement. And what I believe the future, and this is where Fuentes and I, basically, differ a little bit. What I think we do to make change here is we run dark horse campaigns. Massie appoints someone like James Fishback into his as his like running mate. Mm-hmm. Not that it's him, but someone like him. You have enough to steal like the most marginal national vote because boomers exist still. Like even at a high turnout in young voters, which is arguably low on the right wing, you're getting like 3 to 6%. But you run a campaign like RFK where he's like a Democrat, but he's also running populist ideas like fixing the food pyramid. Mm-hmm. And they returned a lot. By the way, if you go to look at food on the shelves today, they actually did a lot of good work. And fruit by the foot is now made with real fruit and no artificial colors or flavors. Like that's crazy.
Thanks, RFK.
Okay, yeah, thanks, RFK. But you come in as like a Republican with like James Fishback, and you keep your platform like against data centers and things like that. It's like you're against data centers, against the privatization of water for data centers, noise and light pollution. So you're like a weird Republican. It's like, well, you're a Republican. It's like we're against the the environmental impacts of data centers. It's a weird fucking position.
Yeah.
And you intentionally take weird fucking positions because you really have like one goal, and it's to like draw in the vote, kind of like RFK did with food and with chemicals, where it's like health is like a kind of a bipartisan, like there's, it's not everyone's into it, but it's like a lot of people are into it. They're not really political. You're going after people that aren't political. So it's like, maybe the husbands are, into roids or they're just cucks. But the moms, the crunchy moms, those are Republicans and Democrats. They're all into health for their kids. Every mom wants their kids to be healthy and have money. So you're going after a voting bloc that wouldn't vote. And so you can like steal 3 to 6% of the vote. And then you go, I've decided to back this candidate, but they've got to fucking put me in, the backdoor talks. So you got to put me in a cabinet position because you want I got 4.5% of the vote and that can sway this election and I'll give it to the Democrats, you fucking bitch. I will take a cabinet position on, you talk to both parties, you go, I will take a cabinet position on your team because really no one that's going to vote for me is going to stop supporting me if I become a Democrat or a Republican because why? Because I am trying to fix data centers and AI impact on communities, give rights to people. And whether the Democrats take that position or the Republicans, it's really an issue-based voting system. So RFK is like a Democrat, but he ends up working for the Republicans, and no one that liked RFK hates him for, party switching essentially, because you go, it's about the issue. It's about what we're trying to accomplish. As long as you accomplish that, we realize that you're a populist leader. You don't care about party. I think that's what's happening with Fishback and with Massie now. It's like, hey, we're going to start infiltrating that way. And I believe we're going to start seeing this on a Senate level, on a congressional level, where you're going to start seeing people running that are like, this is where Poosh and all these people are stupid. They're running to win. You have to run to manipulate the vote. And then like not run as like the Republican. It's like you're running on an issue and it's enough to sway the vote. Where if you throw your endorsement behind another candidate, so you lose the primary, let's say for the Republican Senate race, and you go, well, I have 6% of the state vote with young people, and I'm going to throw it over to the Democrats because they're going to push the data center issue.
Well, and
you win.
There's a stark difference between Massie's platform and RFK. RFK, he's always been a Zionist, and I think if he wasn't a Zionist,
kill him.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't know about that. He was marching with Rabbi Shmuley with an Israeli flag earlier this year. For some pro-Israel protest or whatever. And the thing is, I think Massie, because he opposes Israel and the Iran war, and he wants to bring out the Epstein files, whoever is the Republican nominee, it's probably going to be Vance or Rubio. I don't think there's a path for him to get even in the administration. Why would they let him in? Even if he's popular, gets 10% of the vote or whatever. I just don't see that happening, really. It's a different scenario.
No, might not even be president. I said it could even be Senate. It's like he could run again.
Yeah.
He can run again for Congress and just be like, you know what? I'm gonna drop out of the race from the Republicans in 2028, and I'm gonna tell all my followers, like it's kind of what Nick's doing. Vote the Democrat.
Yeah.
Actually, vote the Democrat in the general. Because this person is going, like, we're gonna make an agreement that if they're a Democrat and they win our district, that's what I'm saying. It's not about party. This Democrat will agree to our restrictions because they'll lose to Galrain. They don't have the money to fight AIPAC.
So
but
you think he might get in the Democratic? Whoever
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm not saying he's going to. It doesn't matter what he's going to do. It's the next stage of partisan politics is run on principle, settle with party. So you run on principle and like these are moral people who are like, look, ultimately I want to do what's right for the Kentucky people. And if a Democrat is going to, for instance, run here, then I'm gonna say no woke stuff. Like it's like, don't do this. No data center in our district. Fight against it in Kentucky in general, and fight against AI. And it's like agreeing with your evil predecessor because they'll tone down the things that are the most important. It's like,
yeah, well, look at Bernie Sanders. He's saying it outright. That Massie opposed Israel and the Iran war. I think he also does. He wants the Epstein files to be released. A lot of the Democrats are way ahead. We talked about this on the show maybe a couple months ago, that the Democrats are starting to posture towards anti-Israeli and anti-AIPAC money. That I think 23 Democrats in Congress. Don't quote me on that, but it's around 20 in Congress on the Democratic side do not take any money from AIPAC. Whereas now on the Republican side, now that Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene are gone, we only have one, and it's Rand Paul. So, yeah, it's not looking good. I don't know.
Well, I think that, in order to actually, if the parties are both captured by Israel, the only way to actually win on principles like this, it's like, well, you vote for Republicans, you get nothing because they just decide federally. But you're like, hey, look, as a Democrat, listen, I can sway the vote in your favor. I can get all the people that care about principle, but you must run this bill that we pre-wrote that basically, and by the way, you're also agreeing with them on something. It's not all disagreeing. You're like, all right, you're voting against Israel, great. But also, we want provisions to protect workers from AI in Kentucky. Can you do that? And it's like, will you guarantee the votes? And the last minute, you're like, hey, all my followers, vote for this Democrat. It's what Nick's doing. It's like, this Republican is not a Republican. They're just a party. They don't care about you. They don't vote for you. Galrain doesn't care about the Kentucky people. He cares about war.
Yeah.
It's like, so you'll oppose war. So the Democrat will oppose war. They'll vote against AI. They'll vote for AI protections. And you know what? They like gay marriage. Well, luckily for us, Congress isn't really voting on gay marriage in the next 10 years. That's not what they're into. So we're not really worried about that. You know what I'm saying? So these aren't votes. Like, okay, it's just pro-gay marriage. Whatever. So, Ramaswamy's against gay marriage. Is he? No, of course he's not. Of course he's for gay marriage. He's a fucking worships a demon. He's brown and his feet stink. It's like, what are we voting for? It's like, well, Ramaswamy believes God is good. It's like, well, most of the Democrats are Christian too. Mm-hmm. Most WASPs are Democrat, by the way. The WASPs are all Democrat. Do you guys know that? All the white Anglo-Saxon Protestants are all Democrat. So, I don't like, there's just like a version of boomers that think that America exists in a way that it does not exist. They think that America is going to become this Protestant revival of the Holy Spirit, and we're all going to get slain by Benny Hinn and, throw up our sins and just get back to Mennonite lifestyle. Say, hey, buddy, everybody's jerking off to porn whether you like it or not, okay? Hey, buddy, every Protestant I know is the biggest supporter of mass immigration. Biggest supporters. They're nice people. God told us to love them. They're so nice. They're nice. Like, they smell like shit and they ruin our cities. And they're like, but they're nice. Like, hey, we're gonna have to kill these people in Minecraft. You gotta understand, like, it's a video game and we gotta win, It's a joke, right? Never promoting violence. But that's the problem. And Zionist Protestants, in my opinion, remain the biggest arbiter against American exceptionalism. And they used to be the greatest, but they're not anymore. They're just goy slaves, They're goyim cattle, and it is what it is. And also, too, by the way, I'm gonna say this too. Just like I killed the trad movement and the girl thing, can we kill the anti-porn movement in terms of the guys? I'm gonna tell you this right now. If you're a guy and you look
piety signalers.
Well, yeah. If you look at porn every day, like I saw this story of a guy. I'm gonna get taken out of context on this. Elijah promotes porn. No, it's not what I'm doing. I'll say that now. I'm not promoting pornography at all. But this is this guy who got arrested. He started robbing stores to afford his OnlyFans addiction. Like, when you're a Christian and you go online, like, I fell into lust or I gooned, can we stop producing Verify goon fairies? Like, if you jerk off, you're just a man.
Yeah.
Okay? That's called being a man, not a fallen man, because all men are fallen. Okay? We have a real problem because porn has never existed in the way it's existed now in all of history. There's never been a way to look at this many 18-year-olds naked ever, period. And it's really tempting, and it's right in your hand. And every man is tempted. And most men that are not tempted, that's their dispensation. They're just not naturally tempted.
Yeah.
But you get to feel what kings felt. You get to just see naked hot girls or other things. Who knows
the
what
Chinese
you're into.
emperors with their 1,000 concubines.
Concubines. That used to be like a room. Like, imagine 1,000 women. You could see more than 1,000 women in a week, in a day.
Our generation has probably seen more naked women than the past 1,000 generations, at least individually, but probably the last 100 generations as a whole put together.
Colin D. Riddle said, I just succumbed to sin, guys. Literally now just finished. Please pray for me.
We'll pray.
That's yeah.
We will
Lord
pray.
God, please. I say this as a joke, though. Thank you for my friends and my family. Thank you for my kids. Thank you for this food and that guy who just cummed on his pants. It's like, dude, please stop going public about jerking off. Stop. Just stop it.
The nofap thing is really cringe.
Yeah, but it's like this. Dude, if you just jerk off a couple times a week for like 4 minutes or 5 minutes to some porn, You do not have a porn addiction. You're not a porn addict. You're a guy and you have a normal sex drive and you're dealing with a problem that we haven't found a solution for yet because it's really bad. Okay.
Thanks, man. I needed to hear that.
It's really bad. And trust me, I used to work in churches. All the pastors have the same problem. The youth leaders have the same problems. Like, they did studies in churches. There was a study done to find guys under the age of 25 who hadn't jerked off to porn. They couldn't find one. That's not a joke. I've been following this stuff for years. There are guys who are just not sexual by nature that don't look at porn. This is going to be such a bad statement. If we're talking about older guys who over years, this is why I like Orthodox priests. They'll be like, yeah, I had promiscuity in my life. I'm not saying if you had promiscuity and you conquered it and you're older and you've settled with a wife. So I like that priests can be married or whatever, and you have a wife and you're having sex and you've not jerked off because you've found a way to conquer sin in your life, sexual sin. That is real. That does happen. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It does happen, and men do find their resolve. But if you're a young guy and you're like jerking off to porn, you just haven't found your resolve yet, and stop killing yourself over it. It's just not the end of the world. But if you are jerking off, like, you're missing work or you're getting like, sexual assault charges or whatever, the reason why rape really isn't a problem anymore we have the Me Too movement is because we have porn. Like, men just used to rape more often and it's just rape chicks because we didn't have porn. And we have fake rape now mostly in our culture because men have porn. It's like, dude, I'm going to rape you stupid bitch. I have to listen to you talk afterwards. I'll just go jerk off. I'm telling you this right now. You've got to stop trying to be perfect and realize, like, the goal is to deal with lust in your mind and your brain and figure out how to submit your mind to God, how to, like, give your mind over to God, because every man through all of history, if they had access to porn like you do, would have been looking at it. And when you hear about lust in the Bible or these things, men didn't have porn and they lusted. And you have to realize that porn is a problem we haven't found a solution for yet. Okay?
Yeah.
We haven't found the solution. And because we haven't found the solution, you're kind of a victim. I hate to say a victim, but it's true. You're kind of a victim. But if you're just a guy and you look at porn a couple times a week for a couple minutes on X or whatever it is you look at it on, and, yes, I'm not justifying it. I'm not saying it's a good thing. It is a bad thing. And I'm not even saying, like, yes, I agree with the laws. There should be IDs to verify all that stuff. It should be banned, honestly. But I'm just saying, in a lot of ways, a lot of you would have been rapists if porn didn't exist and you'd be in jail.
I think of something Jesse Lee Peterson said.
It's true.
Jesse Lee Peterson, he always says, forgive your mother and father for all the things they did to you that you're holding grudges against them for. Well, I would say in that same vein, forgive yourself. For all the gooners out there, you have to forgive yourself for gooning so you can move forward and not, want to kill yourself every day. Some people take it very seriously. When I was at my old church in Florida, I had a group of friends and all of us talked about this all the time. And, masturbation was always a topic and everyone seemed to struggle with it and they really beat themselves up over it. And it's like, yeah, you should on some level, but also give yourself some grace because we are human. We have carnal desires and, the world is fallen overall. We're not going to become saints overnight. Although becoming a saint should be the goal in the end, it's not going to happen overnight. You need to give yourself some grace. Otherwise, the pressure will just build up and eventually you'll just go on a gooning rampage and you'll forget about Christ altogether.
Yeah, but I was going to say this. It's like, dude, I would much rather have brothels legalized and porn banned. That's my opinion. It's like,
yeah,
like that is like kind of my opinion. If you're going to sin and do something wrong, it's probably better to just save up some money.
Didn't the Catholic Church at some point have their own brothels or something? Don't quote me on that. I'll look it up.
I don't know, but like I would say this: if you're like a tradie, and you are a blue collar guy, it would be much better to save up $200.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, during the Middle Ages and Renaissance, some Catholic leaders and institutions not only tolerated prostitution but directly owned and profited from brothels.
My opinion is that it's better for a man to work all week, save up $200 and go to a brothel than spend $1,000 a month on OnlyFans. It's like, well, at least you're getting a real connection. And then after a while, the point is, it sounds really bad, but the reason why porn is dangerous is like after a while of going to the brothel, you're going to be like, dude, I don't feel good about this. Like,
yeah,
this is gross and there's no real connection. And, before you call me a terrible person, that's what modern society is. It's just that you have no other options because you're paying constantly $200 a weekend to have sex with a random girl with no guarantee you will. So, you know, it's like the brothel system at least sets up patriarchy and male dominance where women want to be whores. They have to work for a organization. And if you want to have sex with a girl, you got to save up money. You know how many guys I met that pay for porn? It's very, very disgusting. And don't pay for it ever. Please don't. But also, like,
someone says, better than spending $200 a week on weed.
Yeah. No, but it's true. It's like this is gonna get clipped.
So
this is gonna get clipped and clipped out of context for sure. It always does. But I'm just saying, like, these solutions are not what people want to hear. I'm just telling you, like, right now, if you're a guy and like a few times a week, every other day, or even once a day, you look at porn for a couple minutes and you just jerk off and finish quickly or whatever. You don't have a porn addiction, you're a normal man and you have normal urges. It's just like you can't go on like that forever. Okay? Like that's not the point of your existence.
Yeah.
And you do need to repent of that. You do need to go to confession. You do need to take
work with your priest.
Like, but you should be honest with your priest and realize that, like, you know, which is kind of why I'm not Catholic and I'm not against Catholics, but it's like, can't your priest be married? You know? It's caused a lot of problems in the church that men who want to serve God, but also, you know, men really can't. I was gonna say this real fast. Men that don't look at porn and are Christian or never do, there's only two types. There's a type just like John the Baptist who was given towards I've met men like this who given towards a commitment with God where they didn't drink of the vine. They didn't have sex. They were given towards the ministry. You were called from a young age to serve God, and you should serve God. There's another side, and it's called you're a closeted homosexual. And you don't like women. And you're too nervous to look at gay porn, so you're just a pussy. You're a pussy closeted guy, and you don't want to look at it because you're whatever. And I'm telling you this, if you're in the modern world, it's going to show up in your life, and you've got to realize, well, what do you do about it? The key thing is don't get weird with it. Don't get weird with it. Don't look at weird stuff. Don't consume weird stuff. You know,
missionary only.
I've seen Squidward clap Sandy's cheeks with his nose. When I was younger, I saw that. I can't get that out of my head. You know, flaccid Squidward going in deep dive to Sandy's cheeks. How did it work? She was underwater. She had an oxygen mask.
Yeah.
No, but I meant
it's a good time to roll the war intro, I think.
Well, I was gonna say, as a side note, it's like I just wanted to give some weird commentary. It's a slow night, so I want to give some weird commentary on this. Is like, I just want Americans to realize, like, stop being performative, start being real. And by the way, to Zerka and Chad the Champion, how does Zerka not understand Gen Z? He's like calling like Chad out for being a cock.
There's a beef there?
Yeah, he's like calling him for being a cock.
We love Chad.
No, but I love John and I love Chad. But I was weirded out by it because like he's calling him out. He's like, he's a cuck because he made the cuck pill argument. We've joked about it on the show. He's like, you should be the cuck. There's nothing better than being a cuck.
At least you'll have her heart.
Yeah, maybe she's taking every man's dicks, but you get her heart. And so you get the more valuable part of a woman. And it's like, does he not? And then like, does he not get it? Does he not get the joke? I don't know if he doesn't get the bit. Gen Z is the bit is so extreme in Gen Z that sometimes Gen Z will be, their gay humor is so gay that they sometimes become gay. It's really dangerous.
Yeah, my dad watches this show and I can't help but wonder what he thinks about
the bit, that's why I'm a younger millennial and I'm too dedicated to the bit that sometimes like you don't even know if you're joking or not.
You've been joking?
No.
Okay, yeah, okay, good.
But I'm saying like that's my point is like you don't even get it.
Yeah.
Like you're like, but yeah, I'm young enough millennial that if I want to crack a 22-year-old hoe tonight, I could. I wouldn't. Never look at porn either. I don't do that. I'm a goon fairy. Frilify, please make me a goon fairy. Don't be like Pine Sap and don't write an essay about how you look at porn because that's just weird.
Yeah, and gay.
Fuck that guy. What a bitch.
Yeah.
What a weirdo. And also
freak.
What a freak. We don't like Pine Sap. Groypers, America First, we don't like Pine Sap. He's a piece of shit. And also he threw us under the bus and believed gay Jews. We don't like people who believe gay Jews. We don't like that shit.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy. He can go suck his own cock and he probably does. What a bitch. You're welcome for helping you raise money and keeping yourself from homelessness. Anyways, let's roll the intro. Oh yeah, someone said if Real Levi should make a video of Elijah. It's like there's a lot of them actually. Yeah. Unfortunately, there's like dozens actually, possibly that are out there.
You're like the devil in the closet, or whatever.
I'm a werewolf.
Yeah,
I'm a demon werewolf that smokes weed in closets. It's like very deep, iconography. Jumping ahead in our story today, Marco Rubio talked about Cuban Independence Day and gave a lecture in Spanish. After our CIA was just pictured leaving the country. It was very weird. Oh, it does have subtitles. Watch this. Check this out.
Hoy, en el 1902, la bandera cubana ondeó por primera vez sobre un país independiente. Pero sé que hoy ustedes, quienes llaman a la isla su hogar, atraviesan dificultades inimaginables. Hoy quiero compartirles la verdad sobre el motivo de su sufrimiento y quiero contarles lo que nosotros en los Estados Unidos le ofrecemos para ayudarlos no solo a aliviar la crisis actual, sino también a construir un futuro mejor. La razón por la que se ven obligados a sobrevivir 22 horas al día sin electricidad no se debe a un bloqueo petrolero por parte de Estados Unidos. Como ustedes saben mejor que nadie, llevan años sufriendo de apagones. La verdadera razón por la que no tienen electricidad, combustible ni alimentos es porque quienes controlan su país han saqueado miles de millones de dólares, pero nada ha sido utilizado para ayudar al pueblo. Hace 30 años, Raúl Castro fundó una empresa llamada Gaesa. Esta empresa es propiedad de las Fuerzas Armadas y está operada por ellos y cuenta con ingresos 3 veces superiores al presupuesto de su gobierno actual. Hoy, mientras ustedes sufren, estos empresarios tienen 18,000 millones de dólares en activos y controlan el 70% de la economía de Cuba. Obtienen ganancias de hoteles, construcciones, bancos, tiendas e incluso del dinero que sus familiares le envían desde Estados Unidos. Todo pasa por sus manos. De esas remesas ellos retienen un porcentaje, pero de las ganancias de Gaesa, nada llega a ustedes. En vez de usar el dinero para comprar petróleo, como todos los otros países del mundo, dependieron del petróleo gratis de Hugo Chávez y Maduro para quedarse con el dinero. Pero ahora que dejó de llegarles el petróleo gratis, ellos compran combustible para sus generadores y sus vehículos, mientras que el pueblo se les pide que se sacrifiquen. En vez de usar el dinero para mantener y modernizar las centrales eléctricas que están dañadas, usan el dinero para construir más hoteles para extranjeros y para enviar a sus familiares a vivir con lujos en Madrid y incluso hasta aquí en Estados Unidos. Hoy, Cuba no está controlada por ninguna revolución. Cuba está controlada por Gaesa, un estado dentro del estado que no rinde cuentas a nadie y acapara las ganancias de sus negocios para beneficios de una pequeña élite. Y el único rol que desempeña el llamado gobierno es exigirle a ustedes que sigan haciendo sacrificios y reprimiendo a cualquiera que se atreva a quejarse. El presidente Trump ofrece una nueva relación entre Estados Unidos y Cuba, pero tiene que ser directamente con ustedes, el pueblo cubano, no con Gaesa. Primero estamos ofreciendo $100 millones en alimentos y medicinas para ustedes, el pueblo, pero tiene que ser distribuido directamente al pueblo cubano por la Iglesia Católica o otros grupos caritativos de confianza, no robados por Gaesa para que lo vendan en sus tiendas. Pero al pueblo cubano no le interesa la caridad permanente. Ustedes quieren la oportunidad de vivir en su propio país, como viven sus familiares en Estados Unidos o en otros países del mundo. Hoy, desde los medios de comunicación hasta el entretenimiento, Desde el sector de los negocios hasta la política, desde la música hasta los deportes, los cubanos han llegado a la cima de prácticamente todas las industrias, en todos los países, excepto uno, Cuba. Hoy en Cuba, solo aquellos cercanos al élite de Gaesa o que forman parte de ella pueden tener negocios rentables. Pero el presidente Trump ofrece una nueva vía entre Estados Unidos y una nueva Cuba. Una nueva Cuba donde ustedes, los cubanos de a pie, no solo Gaesa, pueda ser dueño de una gasolinera o de una tienda de ropa o de un restaurante. Una nueva Cuba donde ustedes, no solo Gaesa, pueden abrir un banco o tener una constructora. Una nueva Cuba donde ustedes, y no solo el Partido Comunista de Cuba, pueda ser dueño de una estación de televisión o de un periódico. Una nueva Cuba donde pueda quejarse de un sistema que falla sin temor a ir a la cárcel o ser forzado a irse de su isla. Y una nueva Cuba donde tengan la oportunidad real de elegir a quienes gobiernan su país y votar para reemplazarlos si no están haciendo un buen trabajo. Esto no es imposible. Todo esto existe en las Bahamas, en la República Dominicana, en Jamaica e incluso a tan solo 90 millas en Florida. Si ser dueño de su propio negocio y tener el derecho al voto es posible alrededor de Cuba, ¿por qué no es posible para ustedes dentro de Cuba? En Estados Unidos estamos listos para abrir un nuevo capítulo en la relación entre nuestra gente y nuestros países.
You know what's weird? So he talks about, it's Independence Day.
Yeah.
And I think they're going for a regime change.
Yeah, very clearly.
Not going for a war. Because Americans are already in a war in Iran, and I don't think we even have, it sounds weird, I don't think we have the military ability right now to be fighting a naval war in too many areas at the same time.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like what happened in Venezuela. But what's interesting here about
peacefully too
about Marco Rubio is he's long described. Many of you might remember in 2016 he was running for president, and one of his talking points was that his family fled from communism in Cuba. Well, then what ruined his election was that it came out that his family immigrated to the U.S. in 1956, and that's before Fidel Castro took power in 1959. And so later he made a revision and said, well, we didn't actually flee from communism, but we were part of an exile sort of, like there was a movement, an exile movement in Cuba before communism took over. And so he was bullshitting the whole time. And it makes me wonder, like, what is his vendetta with Cuba? It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, given that his family didn't actually flee from there. It's just an interesting point, and it can't be, understated.
Well, I've had a few Cubans work for Rift, and they just think they're white, which is weird.
Yeah.
And there's very dark Cubans as well, indigenos. But it's like, this is the problem of having non-white Secretary of State, is you end up having like problems where it's like, why is our government speaking a foreign language? It's undignified.
Yeah, I made a tweet and I said, this is America speaking English.
Yeah, press run for English, Marco, 1984 said. It's like, you should have a translator. Speaking English, have a translator.
Yeah.
Our government officials should not be, besides private meetings.
Well, he's speaking directly to the Cuban people, and he's literally telling them in that speech, he says, we are going to open up a new chapter in your history for you. So he's saying point blank, black and white, we're going to go in and do some kind of operation. It's not clear what it's going to be yet, but eventually we're going to come in and save you. And it's very clear that's what's happening. And, on some level, because you made a comment earlier that we're just going to, implant an Israeli, pro-Israeli regime there. And that's probably the case. But at the same time, I would much rather have a Cuba that's friendly towards the U.S. than a Cuba that's not and hostile. And that works with Russia and China. You have to think like, how close is Cuba to Florida? It's like within 100 miles. It's less than 100 miles, I think. It's a very short distance, and they're within striking distance with their missiles and things like that. And that's just it's a liability for the future. And so on some level, I actually kind of agree that there needs to be an operation in Cuba, because I want a Cuba that's friendly towards the U.S. And unless you go and do something like that, it's just not going to happen. And we're always going to have this looming enemy right in our
Well, I said
border.
early on too, like, if they wanted to destroy the buildings in Cuba and make like a paradise for Americans down there, I'd be all for that. However, that's not what's going to happen. Listen to Marie Salazar. Listen to this.
And this is the message to the Castros. Look at Maduro. President Trump gave Maduro the opportunity to go with his wife, with his family, somewhere else, and with the millions that he stole from the Venezuelans. But Maduro thought that he was smarter than President Trump. So I'm talking to Raul, to the cousin, to the nephew, to the son, and to the grandson. Pay attention and look what happened to Maduro. It's time for you guys to go. Because there is a new sheriff in town. And that sheriff is Donald Trump. And he is going to be able to do and be willing to do what no other president, 10 presidents, Democrats and Republicans, dare to do with Cuba, which is to make it a friendly country for the benefit not only of the Cubans, of the Americans. Because you think about it, when President Trump said that his agenda was America first, this is indeed what's happening. Cuba is the mothership of evil in the Western Hemisphere. Cuba only exports terror. And when Trump said that the Western Hemisphere was important, because it's just like what Marco Rubio was saying, that the proximity of the Western Hemisphere is so close to the homeland that we need to protect it. So this is what's happening right now. Cuba, after the Castros, will be a friend to the United States on the economic front, on the security front, on the political front, on the immigration front. So that's why we thank you, Mr. Trump, for taking this action and for making.
You know, it makes me think this real fast, just like how we talked about us being on the out because we're just sort of against the Israeli regime. Mm-hmm. Imagine being like us, but you're our country. You're like, oh, fuck. Yeah, like
1984, he gave $10. He said Hyman Roth needed his casino. I don't actually know what that means.
Dude, I think we could actually turn so El Salvador is trying to poise itself as being a Singapore of Central America, like a neutral party that works as a trade port, kind of like what Hong Kong used to be,
right?
Or what South Africa used to be for the rest of the continent. I do think that we kind of got to get back to the pirate days of having a neutral country that actually has economic growth. That everyone, let's just say Cuba isn't pro-America, but it's not anti-America, and everyone can trade, and we can. Companies can come in and just sort of turn it into an esoteric place, a trading port. You can go there like Turks and Caicos or something, right? But it actually has the landmass to support real economic, production and be a place of intermediary trade. Mm-hmm. I don't claim to know enough about geopolitical trade to know about the long-term standing effects of making that place a trading outpost. But I know, having a failed state, it's a failed state. Cuba's a failed state. The communist government there is fake. When the USSR fell, Cuba never had a chance. Everyone knows Cuba was being propped up by hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe billions of dollars from USSR, right? Just like the US, if the US fails and our state fails, Israel fails, a lot of countries fail. So why do Jewish people invest in the US? It's because if we fail, they fail. So sort of like a, I don't want to say a parasitic relationship, but it is. It's Cuba had a parasitic relationship with the USSR. Now, Putin is in Russia with Z, and you sort of have this, Russia's very connected to China. Now, they did launch a drone attack, I think, on Estonia and Latvia yesterday, or at least threw off their radar attempts, because Russia accuses Latvia of launching Ukrainian drones, and
they're probably doing that shit.
Yeah, so into the country, there's some pretty big stuff going on there, and so the Balkan states are having some problems with Russia today and yesterday that I haven't got an update on because it's not public, but I know there's some problems. I know that Cuba being under I don't like that Trump's under control of the Israeli regime. But Trump is pro-America. He is pro-America. He wants the American regime to be strong for the wrong reasons or, at the behest of our own country. He's willing to weaken our internal infrastructure to strengthen Israel, but he doesn't want America to be attacked. He doesn't want that. And he's not trying to do that. He's actually trying to avoid a 9/11. Trump knows that he's under control of Israel, by the way, from everyone I've talked to inside. He knows what's up. And he knows the minute he lets America be attacked, then everyone knows it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
So everyone knows all the boomers wake up. If there's another 9/11 under Trump, there's no 9/11 under Trump, period. Right? Period. And if there is a 9/11 under Trump, then the boomers wake up. So he's not going to allow that. He's not going to let that happen. But I ask you, as an American, it's like, maybe we don't control Cuba, but we allow a Bukele to rise up in Cuba, and revitalize it. Maybe we do. Bukele.
It's hard to say where they're going.
Well, I'm just going to say this. Bukele is backed by the CIA.
Yeah.
He is. And I've been there and I've seen how grateful the people are for what's going on. I'm not opposed to the CIA doing some good amidst the evil they do. I just don't have a lot of hope that that it's going to be good.
I think it might end up being like a Puerto Rico situation where they become a territory just perpetually forever. I don't think we'll ever make a mistake.
So a tax burden?
Yeah, I know Trump, he did like a Truth Social post with Cuba as the 51st state or whatever. I think that's just optics. It's, it's just bullshit. I think if anything, we'll subjugate them, make them a territory, and then, like you said, kind of make them a trade post and whatever. I think they have some oil. No, they actually don't have any oil. They get all their oil from Iran. Now that that's cut off, they're extremely poor. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's not looking good, but at the same time, it's like I said, I think this might actually benefit us in the long run. We have a little video at the bottom here. We have one more video before that, and it kind of explains the Monroe Doctrine. It's very brief, and a lot of people aren't familiar with the Monroe Doctrine, and I'm a supporter. I think in the end, in the long term, we do need to control this hemisphere of the world. I think we need to not be involved in Iran or the Middle East or even Europe on some level. But ideally, we were involved very deeply in the Western Hemisphere. I supported the thing in Venezuela. I think that was a good move, ultimately, even though most of the oil is going to Israel. At the very least, the regime there is now pro-America. Yeah, but check this out.
We have a lot of people there. We have the CIA there. We have Marco is there. Marco's parents, as you know, were from Cuba. So we have a lot of expertise in Cuba. And it's not going to be like the biggest thing we've ever done, but I will tell you, to a lot of people, it's going to be one of the most important. They've been looking for this moment for 65 years. So we'll see what happens. But we're going to, in the meantime, we're going to have to help them out. They have no way of living. They have no food. They have no electricity. They have no energy at all. But they do have great people. There are a lot of great people. I mean, I have so many Cuban friends in Miami, mostly in Miami and Florida, and they're unbelievable people. They're unbelievable entrepreneurs, and they'd like to go back. I think hopefully they're going to want to live here, but they want to go back. Maybe they'll invest. We'll see what happens. But we're freeing up Cuba. Well, we have a lot of people there.
Cubans are interesting. Besides being dangerous drivers who, quite frankly, get off the fucking roads in Miami. What the fuck are you guys doing? Besides that, it's like, I hate to say this. It's going to be very anti-Wignat here, but obviously impoverished Cubans in the barrios of Miami are obviously hard to live with, but the Cubans make me wish we never had blacks here. We should just enslave the Cubans, because Cubans actually integrate quite well into Miami. Yes, the Spanish is a problem. They don't integrate, and they don't learn English, and they don't drive well. But like, you've lived in Florida, yeah?
Yeah.
Have you lived on the east side?
Tampa.
No, but the east side.
No, I didn't. I was in Tampa.
The Cubans are like kind of fantastic.
We had a lot of Cubans.
Yeah, but I mean that in a way. The
bodegas. I love the bodegas.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. The Cubans are kind of fantastic. Like, the Cubans remind me of like Blue or something, where like they wish they were white, and they don't give you shit. There's no racial issues with Cubans. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
There's no racial tensions. Does that make sense? Like, they're like third worlders in the fact that there's driving problems and like language problems. Like, there's problems. I'm not pro white. I only want white immigration. Trust me, that's ideal. But there's just not the same problems with Cubans that you have with anybody else, right? Like, the Cubans are generally pro-freedom, pro-gun. there are Cuban gangs. There's white gangs, dude. There's a lot of gangs, but they're not like El Salvadorans or like Guatemalans or Mexicans, where there's like the Cubans are generally like you get a Cuban driver on a Uber Black, and he'll just like sell you some Cuban cigars that he has stuffed in his tire compartment, you know, at a nice rate. Like, and then the Cuban women, you know, they're honestly less slutty than the whites in Miami. And I don't like the niggerification of the West. I don't like it. I'm not for it. But I'd much rather live in Miami. And in Miami, I'm scared of blacks, not Cubans. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I carry a gun, a P-43X, because I'm scared of blacks than I am Cubans. And Cubans won't just like kill you on the street like blacks. And so like what I'm saying is like, if we have to have a minority problem, I feel like Cubans, like, think about this, like Marco Rubio isn't standing on a desk being like, Viva la puerta la huella. Like it's like Cubans, like when they do integrate, they're like, yeah, speaking Spanish, but they're not like a nuisance, right? You're not like Mexicans are a nuisance in LA. They're like loud and their lawns are bad. Like when Cubans integrate, you cannot tell them apart. It's like in Boca. It's like Cubans' problems are like Jews. I mean, this is a bad comparison. It's like Jews. Like you don't know it. You don't notice like in Boca, right? It's over 50% Jewish. You don't notice your neighbors are Jewish until you go to the park, right? And they don't want to talk to your wife. The kids won't play with your kids. And so I'm not pro Cuban migration, but if we can stop Cubans from coming over and we keep the Cuban migration to just southeastern Miami, you get where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
Like, it's like if we can just stop the immigration because we fixed their country and they're just stuck down there, they're not the worst people to have in your country. And a lot of them are good people. Like Trump said, like it's like a few of Mexicans are good. Yeah, a few Mexicans are good. A lot of Cubans are good people.
Yeah.
But I don't want them here. So let's go fix their country and get them to stop coming here. And kind of like the El Salvadorans, it's like, let's get them to invest back in their country. Like, think about if we could fix some of these countries. The CIA kind of fucked up a lot of countries. So
yeah,
let's fix some of their countries and get them to stop coming here. Because no one's going to stop them from coming here. So let's just fix their countries. And let's give, like a lot of El Salvadorans are buying Airbnbs, going back to their country. Like, give them a reason to invest, you know? And quite frankly, we did stop Jewish immigration to the United States. We did stop it. Like, whether you like it or not, like Jews are emigrating at a higher rate. They're immigrating. Like they are leaving.
They have a nation now. Before they didn't.
Yeah, but that's the same concept. It's like, I'm not happy, but let's give them a country to emigrate to. Like, hey, yo, like I meet El Salvadorans all the time. I'm like, dude, when I first went there years ago, no one spoke English. I went to I couldn't find a good steak anywhere because it was shitty meat. They go to a steakhouse. It was so good. And the girl's like, bienvenidos, you know, whatever. And you're like, and then I'm like, speaking to her in Spanish, and she's like, let me introduce you to the chef in Spanish. I'm like, okay, good. Comes, he's like, what's up? Go, what's up? He goes, yeah, what's up? Like this. I go, where are you from? He's like, Dallas. I go, no, you're not. What's up? Where are you from? He's like, from LA. And I was like, yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I go, no one says what's up in Dallas. I go, yeah, you're from Dallas. And he's like, yeah, but like I came back here, opened up a restaurant, like, you know, back with my people. Let's give them a reason to leave.
I think the Cubans actually would too. Like,
yeah, they would leave.
Can you imagine if we gave them a democracy in their
country? Let them
leave.
Get out of here.
A lot of them would be eager to go back. I think we should do the same thing with Mexico and all those shitty nations, you know, Argentina as well. All of them.
What about Africa? They don't emigrate because it's shitty, but it's like, dude, you can fix Cuba. You can fix El Salvador. You can fix Guatemala.
Yeah.
You're talking about countries smaller than the size of Texas with like 5 million people that are homogenous. You can fix that. You know, you just got to give them reason to want to go back because everyone wants to go back. And I'll tell you this right now. This is like a very un-American statement right now. If America was the only country with this immigration problem, and England was homogenous, I'm English and German, but if England was homogenous or Germany didn't have these problems, if it wasn't a Western white if it was not an anti-white issue, I'm going to ask this as a Greek. If this was not an anti-white, because that's why I know Greeks are white because they're trying to replace Greeks as well. But it's like, if this was not an anti-white movement and Germany was like 99% or even say 90% ethnically German, but the other 8% was like Croatian and Greek and whatever. And we like 2% Muslims and Indians, which is normal in a slave class. Like it's like 2 to 5% of your population being like a slave class from 4th and 3rd world countries. Very normal. It's like if this was like 2 to 5% of Germany was like a slave class, I'd probably taken my family to Germany and just been like, you know what, we're gonna remigrate, remigrate. We're going to Ludenstein. It's not even a real place. Ludensplockenberg, and we're just gonna go back because this is fucked up. This experiment failed. I can't re-emigrate back to my home countries. People say we have no home country. Yeah, we do have home countries in the U.S. We are. It's true. We are all immigrants here. We did all found this country, but but is England a country to emigrate back to? No. What about the English colonies? Is Australia, Canada, or New Zealand a place to emigrate back to? No. Is any of our protectorates, Fiji? Like, I'd rather honestly move to Fiji than England, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's like, because at least you have some respect for being white. It's like, if I told you Greece was like, Cypriot, and it wasn't like fucking weirdos and like a shitty economy, you'd go back. You would go back. But we have no options. We can't go back, dude. We can't go back, man. We can't go back. There's no way to go back. And so we have to fight here. We have to fight here. We have to fight here. There's no other option. We have to fight for our country. This is a white nation. There's no way to get out of this. We have to fight for it. And I think this, look, and that's why I talk to El Salvadorans. That's why I get kind of like hard from this. It's like, I talk to El Salvadorans, I go, dude, our issue was gangs. Our issue was violence. And now that we're safe, I'd rather live among my own people. And I go, no, I get it, bro. I get it. And by the way, there's like no whites in El Salvador. Everyone should go there. There's no whites. And you're more respected as a white person in El Salvador than you are in a white country. Isn't that crazy? You know why I like El Salvador? Because they go, like, I'll talk to an El Salvadorian, and go, yo, bro. Like, you talk to an El Salvadorian in LA, they're like, Viva El Salvador, fuck you, puto tu madre. And like, you go to El Salvador and you meet an El Salvadorian and they're like, hey, bro. Even an American that goes in there, dude, whites gave us everything, bro. Even the CIA gave us back our lives. Like, we love whites. And there's, oh my gosh. I wouldn't know, but I had a friend tell me there's just so many upper class El Salvadorians that are like still white mixed people that with green eyes, blue eyes, and they love you if you're white. Okay. Yeah. And I mean, like, you go down there and you're treated like a proper citizen. You get protection from the government. You're invited to the palace. You go around and it's a great place. And I mean this, if we can fix these countries, people will go back because a Cuban would rather live in, I'm saying if we can keep Cuban immigration to South Florida and those that want to go back will go back and invest. They use the wealth here to invest and that country works in our favor. I'll go vacation in Cuba, period. I have a video to play. You didn't highlight it. You think you did, but you didn't.
I did on my screen, but yeah, it's that one. So
Okay.
this is our last video before the actual explanation.
Here we go.
Check this out. Let's get the volume on.
As you know, with the indictment of Castro, a lot of people have suffered very big, very at levels that few people would understand. And I think the Cuban population of Miami and certainly beyond Miami, people that came there that were decimated, whose families were ruined, appreciate what the Attorney General just did today and was just doing now. Is just watching it. So we have Cuba on our mind. Very important. Been a lot of problem for a lot of years, and this was I think it was a very big moment for people that, not only Cuban Americans, but people that came from Cuba that want to go back to Cuba, people that want to see their family in Cuba. I think this is a very big day, very important day. They supported me to the nth degree. They supported me at levels that nobody's ever seen before. And
You know what's crazy though? I know this about politics. I was joking with Georgie about this. Georgiana, she's got nice tits. Listen, one thing I said about the swamp, and I know this, by the way, if I ever position or posture, know I have a plan with this. I know tomorrow how politics work. If I want to posture in favor of the Trump admin because I have a reason for it, like maybe I know that the Trump admin is willing to fix some of these countries like El Salvador. And I know that supporting Trump, I can get like Massie, like I can do a principle. Like I'm like, I want immigration to be fixed.
Right.
And I know that I can fix a few countries, or I know that Trump can make an agreement with India that makes an investment in India that India promises. India threatens our countries with immigrants, basically, as a means of asking us to invest in their infrastructure for energy. That's what they're trying to get us to do. And they lack nuclear energy technology that they need from the US, by the way. It's a huge problem. They're trying to leverage everyone.
Right.
It's like, I would easily go back and support Trump if I knew Trump was just on two issues, was willing to send Indians back and fix the temporary visa process for the protectorates of Europe, of the United Kingdom. I would possibly just be like, yeah, you know what? We got to support the MAGA movement because, I don't like a lot of the stuff they're doing with Israel, but they're getting the fuckers back in their country. So let's just put the support behind that. That's politics. And I would do that.
Yeah, and that's the Monroe Doctrine. And we have the video just for the audience so we don't have to explain it. It's very brief and concise. And this is the last video on this topic.
The Monroe Doctrine was issued in 1823 under President James Monroe and marked a turning point in American history and relations with Europe. But what was it? Why was it proclaimed? And who were the people that created such a bold statement? The Monroe Doctrine said that European countries, especially historical powerhouses like England and France, could no longer exert new influence on the Americas and the Western Hemisphere at large, however still keeping their small remaining colonies. This drastically reduced European colonialism in the Americas because now the United States considered any interference in the Western Hemisphere an attack on itself. This began America's long and complex relationship with Latin America on a good note, which would fluctuate over the coming centuries. And until France installed a puppet government in Mexico during the American Civil War, the Monroe Doctrine was largely obeyed. But why was it instituted? Simple. The United States wanted to establish itself on the world stage as a protector of Latin America and continue its narrative of anti-imperialism, which was still relatively young. It was also a result of paranoia that Europe would reclaim the newly independent states of Latin America and threaten American sovereignty yet again. And so President Monroe spared no mercy in his speeches about the subject. But who was James Monroe, and why did he have such views? James Monroe was a Democratic Republican, which meant that he supported a smaller government and less taxes. However, it also meant that he was a strong proponent of Jefferson's, a fellow Democratic Republican, Empire of Liberty, and thus saw the young republic as a bulwark against global European domination, driving him to issue the groundbreaking Monroe Doctrine. And for a time, U.S.-Latin American relations were good. Until, of course...
Yeah, and there you go. So, little explanation for you. Yeah, that video on YouTube, how many views does it have? Did you exit out?
No, I don't even know. Hold on.
I think it had like 200 views or something. I liked it though. I watched
105,000.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's not a lot.
What I was going to say is
Great
like,
video, though.
I am down to support, like, this is where people will not like the show going forward, but I am down to support things like this. It's like, dude, things are shitty, but if we can make them less shitty, like if you want to change your life, you got to make small changes. Like you may be like, dude, I hate weed. Weed is ruining my life. And it's like, well, were you on opiates before? Because if you were, then maybe keep smoking weed until you figure out an alternative. Because if the option is opiates or weed, I would say just keep smoking those joints, nigga. Like keep doing it, whatever. If you don't smoke weed at all, don't start.
I think both kind of affect you in the same way, though. Like if you're a habitual smoker of weed and you smoke all day long, it's like in the same way that opiates kind of zap your ambition for life and zap your potential, weed does the same exact thing. So ideally, just don't do either. Get saved by the grace of God. Ideally, I think that's the best alternative.
I have a couple more points.
It's hard though.
Can we play the ad one more time real fast? A quick word from our sponsors. Just want to play this for you guys. Check this out. Click the link, please, at Maga Metals, magametals.com. It's very important that you do. Click the link in the description. Check it out. Support the show. Support our sponsors. Just watch this quick message from our sponsors, and I encourage you to do so because it's really helping us out a lot. Check it out. Now, you guys have heard me talk a lot about investing in gold and silver over the years, but there's a precious metal out there that you might not know is valuable, and it's called titanium. The problem is that China controls about 60% of titanium production, and I don't know if you've seen recently, they're not exactly our strongest ally. The problem is that we need titanium so much so that Trump put out a directive, an executive order saying that we need to mine and find more titanium in North America at our nation's peril. The reason why is titanium is used to build our warships. It's used to build F-35 jets. And I don't know if you've seen Secretary Marco Rubio recently, but they want to use a lot of jets and a lot of ships to fight wars maybe we shouldn't be in, but either way, this metal is extremely valuable. That's where Saga Metals trading comes in, trading in the US under SAGMF and trading in Canada as SAGA. Now, they have their best drilling yet reported. Recently, they drilled in an area in Canada in this project called Radar Titanium in Canada, where they found half a football field full of the highest quality titanium. Now, rarely is titanium like this even found at this quality anywhere in the world, but they have a drilling spot where they're finding the highest quality. Now, the best part is they closed $10 million in financing allocated purely for drilling. Investors are lining up to get involved. Now, Saga isn't waiting around. Their crews are drilling 24/7 because the results are amazing, and the stock surged over 17% in just one day. This is a strategic commodity that you guys should all check up. It's a tier 1 jurisdiction, exceptional drill results, and it is an investment strategy in a company that's not just the metals themselves, but the company that's producing and drilling and finding the metal that our president said we need to obtain. And America likes to buy for war right now. So, hey, maybe you don't support the war, but maybe we can support our future investments by supporting Saga Metals today. Check out the link in my description and support Saga Metals. Shout out to Saga Metals. And thank you so much for sponsoring this show. The link is in our description. It is saga-presentation.com/riff-tv. If you want to check out the presentation, figure out how you can invest today. Reminder, this is not financial advice, and I'm not telling you whether to buy or to sell or to trade any stock. Always trade at your own risk, but sometimes those risks just end up with surplus amounts of money in our account. I hope you enjoy the rest of the show. So, telling you guys, I'm very, very happy to be here. Very, very happy. You know, I'm in court hearings every day, all day, from like 7 a.m. sometimes till the very night. And I'm up maybe 20 hours by the time I come on the show. But I care about you guys. And everyone's like, oh, I get these random messages like drug-fueled rage and drunken talk. It's like, well, I wish that was true. In fact, I wish I could do that. But unfortunately, I do have to actually stay sober. But I do have something very good. They're not a sponsor of the show. I have Upper Deckies in all this time. I use nicotine to get through my day, like most of you guys do. But check out Saga Metals in the description down below. But it's like, you just get kind of tired. You go through the day, and it's like, what do you do? What do you actually do to stay awake for 20 hours? Well, you could do illegal drugs, or you could just do what I always do, which is use nicotine and water, and sometimes also use, the hidden drug that everybody knows, caffeine. But you get tired. I'm tired of the news cycle, but I'm not tired for tomorrow, not tired tonight. And I'm looking forward to going to bed. I have more court stuff tomorrow as well. It just is what it is. I got a lot of hearings, a lot of things going on. But I appreciate you guys watching, supporting, because as a man, can you guys give me a break? Give a man a time.
Give a nigga a break.
Can you give a nigga a break?
Can a nigga catch a break?
Can he just be tired from life and just try to give it his all? Is it a problem I'm tired at my son's sports game, or that I showed up?
Right.
And I show up, and I appreciate you guys. It's very, very good. I appreciate you guys. Thank you once again for watching another episode of Slightly Offensive, the best, worst show on the internet. Let's have a good show on Friday. To all of you guys watching, support us, please, at ElijahSchaefer.locals.com. Very important that you do. You're all fantastic. I love you, and it's great. I will do an extra, maybe 10 minutes max on Discord in a second. You can only get our Discord if you go onto Locals. We found out my in-laws are involved in my Locals now. The reason why we've been a little bit delayed in doing exclusive content on Locals is my in-laws are specifically, they're clipping our shows on Locals, the exclusives. We're trying to figure out who they are and why they're trying to clip our show.
We'll find
So we're going to find them. We're going to excommunicate them from our church. And we're going to basically give them a red card, a black card, actually, if you're in the military. Thank you so much again. Follow me at Elijah Schaefer on x.com. It's very important that you do. To my amazing transsexual producer, Georgiana, thank you so much again. Tell us how we can find you and follow you.
Yeah, man. It's at Sith Lord Groiper on Twitter. I'm not changing it. I like it. Okay, we'll see what happens. But Like I said in the beginning of the show, we need more clippers. We have two that are doing great, US Monarch and Groiper Firestick. So big shout out to them. And thanks for our writers, Nicholas Redman and Indie Noticer. Indie Noticer has been carrying, and Nicholas Redman, he's been putting out a lot of articles on the website since he started only a few days ago. So big shout out to him. Please go follow him. It's the same handle as his name on Twitter. But other than that, thank you all so much for watching.
Yeah, and to Pope Groiper, put the music on, please. $50 super chat.
Whoa! Pope, man. Oh, we love Pope, man. Thank you so much.
Pope Groiper, $50 in the chat.
We're gonna have
Big
him.
W.
We're going to have you on the show.
Big W. I
have
really
you on the
appreciate
show.
it. Thank you guys for watching another episode of Slightly Offensive. It's been great. You know, we are getting strong. We're working out. We're going to the gym now. We're doing the boost. We're back on TRT.
We're on Reddit.
We're on Reddit True Tide. We're getting back to looks maxing. But also, guys, if you were me, you would have shot yourself in the face. But I'm not, because I have boys to fight for. My boys, two handsome young gentlemen, 1.5 and 3 years old, who love dad, and I love you too. And as I told my ex-wife, can you stop this nonsense? And can we get back to raising our kids like we should as co-parents? Please. It's expensive, and I don't like it, and it's very stupid. But a woman's involved, so what do you expect? Have a great rest of the week, as always, and may God bless the United States of America. I'm signing out.